Well, hello, my Essentials of Biology students. I am Karen Klein and I am your instructor for this particular course. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And the reason I made this video is as a tutorial on how to navigate through the course and some of the little intricacies, some things that might be tough to explain just on paper. So welcome to this video. I'll try to keep it short. I know there's a few things that I'd like to go over with you. First of all, this is your homepage for the class. Now, it might look slightly different on your computer because I am I'm the instructor, right? So, and you may not have some of the tabs that that you're seeing on the left-hand side on my screen might not be on your screen. So keeping that in mind. This is a summer 2 5-week course, and this is going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a challenge. And why not? We're all up for a good challenge because it is 15 weeks of material in the span of 5 weeks. So I do recommend that, we just kind of keep working together and keep our noses to the grindstone, and we've got this. Yeah, we're good. So anyway, all right, let's go ahead and get started. Before I show you where your assignments are, I'd like to direct you to this tab here, your textbook and grading and other such information, just to lightly go through these. First of all, as far as your textbook, what do you know? It's free, which is totally awesome, and it's a really great resource. It's through OpenStax, and what you want to do, and I have a link in each week's work as far as going to your textbook, but here's where I have the link again. Concepts of Biology, and the link is provided, and you click on that link, and the table of contents is on the left-hand side as far as the content and the chapters, and that's where you get your resources from. It's pretty awesome. Now, as far as resources for your labs, for this particular course, we do use a third-party resource for that are interactive labs that you do on your computer. And I'm going to get to this in more detail a little bit later in this tutorial. And you do have to register for it, and it is not free. You do pay a fee for this service, and I will get into more details as far as links on how to sign up for this. Now, that being said, this is actually the first I've taught this particular online class, and instructors from the past express some dismay because some of these simulations require a really fast internet connection, and some students were having problems completing the lab simulations because they had slow or spotty internet service. And what other instructors have done, and what I've done, is I've actually made videos of the lab simulations. So if you have slow internet service and you can't perform these simulations, as I have videos that you can follow along and then answer the questions that you need to answer on your lab worksheet, but I'm going to get to that in more detail a bit when we go through the weekly content. So here's your schedule at a glance. And again, when you're thinking, oh my goodness, look at all this material. Well, I mean, it's 15 weeks in a period of 5, so we cover a lot of ground, and we hit the ground running. You can look at this at your leisure. On your own as far as what each week entails. Here's your instructional plan as far as points, how they're allocated, how your grades are awarded, your final course grades, and then there's all kinds of odds and ends here that I'll have you look at on your own. All right, so we'll go ahead and start with the weekly assignments explanations. Your weekly assignments are in the tab on the left-hand side called Weekly Assignments. Ha ha ha. I try to keep things real. as far as your lab simulations, how to register and access these. They're in the folder that is at the top, the third-party company called Achieve. It has videos in here that go through how to sign up and register for these lab simulations. And as far as their customer support, if you're having technical issues with the labs, I don't resolve those, and neither does our help desk at NAC. You have to go through the parent company who monitors these lab simulations. But let's get into our weekly folders. Now, so as you see, here are the 5 weeks of folders as far as the content of the course. So in order to access each week's material, you click on the link here in the folder. Each week will tell you your responsibilities and assignments for the week. Oh my goodness, is that date wrong? Holy smokes, that date is wrong. That should say the 18th. How did I messed that up? Okay, anyway. Each week runs from that Monday to that Sunday, and all work is due at 11:59 p.m. on that Sunday. So for instance, week 1 is Monday, July 12th to Sunday, July 18th, and that work is due Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Again, pretend that says 18 and not 13, but this goes through what is due for that week. Now, I will say right up front, I've taught for 20 years and I love it. It's the best thing ever, but that's not why I said that. Why I'm saying this is in my, I'm very sensitive to that there's a lot of material in this 5-week course. And in my 20 years of teaching, I have never taken points off of any assignment based solely on the fact that it was late. So if you're having a rough week at work or you're having company that week and you just don't get to every single thing that's in that week's folder, you can turn it in late. Now, what Blackboard will do is if there is something that is late, is Blackboard will default that grade to a 0. But please still turn it in through the submission link and I will grade it, and you will not have points taken off solely based on the fact that it is late. You might have points taken off because you have a wrong answer, but you will not have points taken off based solely on that something is late. So please keep that in mind. Okay, now I'm going to go through these and then I'll overview, and then I'll go back to these in more detail. Each week we'll have the learning objectives for the week. You'll also, in each week, I do put a link to your textbook. And the reason I'm not clicking on it is because the program that I use to make these recordings, oh dear, my 14-and-a-half-year-old YouTuber son laughs at me at my lack of ability to navigate YouTube videos, or videos, I should say, or programs like this. But if I click on this, it won't go to that screen on how I'm recording this, so I'm not going to click on that. So here is the link to your textbook. It doesn't go right to the chapters that you need for that particular week, but it on the left-hand side, you'll see a table of contents, and you just click on those chapters. Now, for week 1, I do have a discussion forum. I don't have for any other weeks just because I just think it's kind of, I see it as busy work. But for week 1, as far as discussions, just so we get to know each other, I think it's kind of cool. So we just have a discussion for the first week. You have questions for comprehension, like homework questions for each week to reinforce the material, and I'll get through how to do that in a bit. You have labs. Your lab for the week are in the lab folder, and usually they're 2 or 3, again, so we get all the material in, and to keep the lab topics relevant to that week's material. It doesn't always work out that way, but for the most part it does. And then each week you have a quiz, which I'll get to in more detail in a bit. If you have any questions, what you do is, if the question is kind of a general question, Usually other students might have it. And if there's something that's gone kablooey with the formatting, or I have an answer wrong, like my answer key is wrong, just click on this link and then you create the thread and ask the question. And that way everybody can see what my answer is. And I get back to you as soon as I can with that. So, all right. And as you will see, and I'm going to get back to specifics, that each week is set up in the same way, right? Responsibility and assignments, the week's learning objectives. Here's the textbook link, your questions for comprehension or your homework questions, a folder that has the labs in it, your quiz, and then any questions. Now, let's get more specific with these explanations. All right. All right. So for your questions for comprehension, this is set up as a test, but it's not a test. In that, you can't, it says it in so many places, this is a test. It is not a test, but these are your weekly homework questions. These are your homework questions. This is not your quiz. Your quiz is further down. It's your homework assignment with questions that cover concepts for this week's content. You can use any resources you wish. You don't have to do it in one sitting. You have all week to do it. You can do some questions and then get back to it another time. And so what you do is you just click here. And again, it says something about a test. It's not. But to get to the questions, you press continue. And then there we go. You see the question here. And then you write the answer in this space box. And once you're comfortable with the answer, you save it, right? Here's question 2, and write your answer here, and then save your answer. And once you're comfortable with all of your questions, or your answers, I should say, that's when you press save and submit. That submits it to the grade center. So I can then grade it, right? Yeah, there you go. Okay. So that's how you do your homework questions. The labs I'm going to get back to. When you're ready to take a quiz, what you want to do, and this, I don't have this really set up yet. I will by the time you take the quiz, because it's not even available to you, is now the quizzes are set up like a quiz, right? It says this. This is not right here. I should go back. That information. And that is that quizzes are timed. Your homework questions are not. But when you sit down to take a quiz, and your quizzes are based on your homework questions. So pay attention to those homework questions, because that's how I make up your quizzes. They're based on those. Is that the quiz has to be done in one setting. They come up one question at a time. You can't backtrack. And it's timed. And it's timed to prevent students from looking the answers up, because it's meant for you not to do that, right? It's meant for you to know the material. So you will have, like, for instance, if there's 20 questions on the quiz, you only have, for instance, like 15 minutes to take it, or even 10 minutes to take it. So that way you need to know the answers. You don't have time to Google the answers to try to find them out, because that's not what the quiz is intended to do. And I'll write these instructions out. I haven't done that yet at this recording, so I will do that. So back to the labs. So for that week's labs, or whatever week you're on, you click here, and this has the folders for the labs that are due for that week in their own folders, right? There are 3 labs for this week. And so what you want to do is click on the folder that contains that specific lab. Okay, so if you've signed up for the Achieve Learning system, what you want to do is log into the account that you set up, and you'll see that there are simulations that you need to access in order to perform the lab itself. And it says here, if you're using this lab on your own, and you're not using the pre-recorded video, you use this simulation. There are different simulations for different labs. You'll want to download the lab worksheet. That is right here. It's not going to show up on my screen because of the system that I'm using. So download the worksheet. And if you're using the Achieve simulation system, on this worksheet, it's going to have the instructions on what you need to do for the lab itself. It'll have the directions. And as you go through the lab simulation, you're going to answer the questions that are on this sheet that you've downloaded. So you kind of go back and forth to the sheet and to the simulation, and you fill out the sheet as you work through the simulation. When this lab sheet is completed, then what you do is you click on this link. There you go. You click on that link and you upload that sheet you browse the local file and you submit it. Okay. Please use MS Word or PDF format only. If you have an Apple product, you do have to convert that document. Now, going back to what I said earlier, if you have a very slow internet connection and you can't do these simulations because it keeps freezing or it's too slow, instead what you can do, again, download the lab, the scientific method lab worksheet right here. And what I have done is I went through the simulations and I made a video of me going through the simulations. So you can watch me do the simulation. It's a YouTube link. So you just go to YouTube. You can watch me perform the lab, and then you can answer the questions on the worksheet. And you can answer the questions that way just by watching me do the lab, and then click on the submission link and then upload your completed lab worksheet that way. So if you sign up and register for Achieve, you go through the directions and you do the lab simulation in order to answer the questions on the lab sheet. Cool, that's awesome. Submit it to the link through Blackboard. Submit it to the link through Blackboard. And then you're good to go. I will grade it. But if you cannot access these lab simulations because you have a poor internet link, just watch the video that I made of it to answer the questions on this worksheet and submit it through here. Now, if you are using the Achieve Learning System, it's set up like its own kind of learning platform, and there may be a submission link, and there may be, like for the scientific method lab, there may be it's another document housed somewhere. Use mine. Use the one that I made up for you. Don't use anything. Don't use the documents on the Achieve Learning System website. And with the Achieve Learning System, through their lab simulations, they're kind of cool. I had a good time with them. I had fun. I think they're really neat. It's a little tricky, you know. It's something you just have to learn how to do it. I mean, I kind of had to go through the methods a few times to figure it out. But again, if you can't do it, if for some reason you have just a bad internet connection or old computer or whatever the problem is, don't think that, oh, I can't take this course because I can't do the lab simulations. I threw you a little life preserver here, and you can just watch the video on YouTube to do those. Anyway, okay, I think I covered everything for now. And any questions that you have, any issues? Again, if you have an issue with the Achieve Learning website, you have to go through their help desk for that. I don't do that. But if you have questions about anything else, just ask. I am here for you. I'm around. I live in Easton. It's not like I live in Florida and I'm doing this course remotely from there. I'm around. Just let me know. Send me an email. or use the Ask Here link at the bottom of each week's questions. All right, guys, or each week's work. All right, I kept it under 20 minutes. Sure, we're going to have a great summer. Just, hey, just keep on top of things and we'll be fine. All right, guys, enjoy. Take care. Bye.